BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason NFL to college kicking off, BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor Pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today and use promo code BLEAV and get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
So if you're at Dodger Stadium over the weekend, we witnessed a bit of history on Friday night as Shohei Ohtani became only the sixth player in MLB history to reach the 40-40 mark, which is 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in the season. And he did it at the fastest pace in 126 games. Now, Carlos, you weren't there either, right? You were watching on TV kind of like I was. But, we'll get into the actually, I want to know now kind of what did you think of that 40-40 mark with Shohei Ohtani, capping it off on that Friday night? And not just with you got that one stolen base and not just an ordinary home run, right? He actually hits a grand slam to walk it off.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to happen, both the stolen base and the home run on the same day. Unfortunately it did, and I wasn't there. But yeah, it was it's kind of sweet the way he gets to the 40 home run with the walk-off grand slam, and how fast he's done it, the 126, and now he's got a good chance at, he's got a very good chance at getting that 50-50 mark, which definitely would be something, obviously would be the first person to do that. So right now he's literally every home run and every stolen base, he's going to break a record. I mean, he's going to get to, we're thinking right now at least 46. So that's going to be pretty cool. Interesting how the guy who missed the ball, and then Siri who gets the ball from the field and throws it into the stand. So now there's this whole controversy. Where's that ball and who really has it? I heard it wasn't authenticated. So things like that happen at Dodger Stadium all the time. But yeah, interesting. Very good series against the Rays this weekend. We took 2 out of 3. We definitely could have swept them. That Saturday game was, we came from behind. We could have had that game, but unfortunately, the bullpen struggled a little bit. There were some questionable, I guess, pitching changes from Roberts, where he used Kopech in the 8th opposed to the 9th. And I don't know if it backfired. Kopech struggled in that inning and allowed 1 run. And then Phillips allows a game-tying home run in the 9th. Kelly allows a 2-run home run. And so we lose that game. But we came back to win on Sunday, 3-1 with a 2-run home by Mookie Betts after Ohtani gets hit in the wrist. And they did do x-rays, and I think they came up negative. So all is well. So we're ready. This was a good homestand. We went 5-1, and I know that I kept some numbers here. We outscored the opponent by 15 runs. We outscored them 35-20. The Mariners, we swept the Mariners, which we covered earlier on the live last week. We outscored them 17-7. So we're scoring runs right now, which is good. The team seems to be coming together. Having Muncy back has definitely been a pleasant surprise, so that's good. And Edman has been this pleasant surprise. So Muncy's doing what we expected him to do, and add that power to the lineup.
Yeah, so we'll dig in a little bit into that race series, but kind of getting back to the 40-40. So as I mentioned, so Ohtani's the 6th person to do it, first Dodger obviously ever to do it. So back in 2011, Matt Kemp was actually one home run shy of joining that club. He was at 39 home runs, 40 stolen bases, but they only played 161 games that season. 1 game was canceled. So he's even said it. He said if they would have played that 162 game season that year, he would have got it. Obviously we'll never know, but I mean it is something, right? We're kind of discussing this off air. Most guys that hit for power, right, they don't run that fast, right? And most guys that run pretty fast, they don't hit for power. So it's that rare combination to get those guys that could actually hit for power and steal bases. But this is now the second year though in a row. I mean, prior to this, it'd been a few years since we had a 40-40 person. But last year Ronald Acuna had it, and I think he had over 40 stolen bases. He had like over 70.
Yeah, he had 73.
40 home runs, 73 stolen bases, right? So
right.
He definitely was running last year. So, but like you mentioned, Ohtani has a chance. I think he's projected, right? I think he's still projected to hit like 50 or 51 home runs and get 50 stolen bases. So he'd be the first 50-50 player in history. And right now, I mean, all the talk is he's pretty much locked up the MVP. Are you looking at him as being the MVP at 40-40? I mean, for sure he'd be a lock at 50-50. But right now, as it stands, is he the NL MVP?
Yeah, you know what? After that home run, I know that I've always been about, if you take a player away from a team, how much of an impact does that player, how much of impact is that player to the team? So yes, 100%. I think Ohtani right now he's showing that he's that impact player that Dodgers need. So right now, my vote would be for Shohei as a National League MVP. And back to the 40-40 stats, yeah, Canseco did it back in 1988, and consequently, that was the year they went to the World Series against the Dodgers, which the Dodgers win. So hopefully these are kind of like signs that so hopefully the Dodgers go to the World Series, but they win instead of losing. But yeah, like you mentioned, Acuna did it last year at 41 home runs with 73. So the most impressive thing is that he did it in 126 games. Alfonso Soriano in 2006 did it in 147 games. So Ohtani did it in 21 games, and 21 games less. So yeah, it's an impressive feat for this, for Ohtani, his first year with the Dodgers. He never did it with the Angels, so we were talking off the air, this year he's been able to focus just solely on the offensive side and not playing the outfield, not pitching. So, this is kind of a sign to, it's kind of, it tells us that, when he's focused on one particular aspect of the game, he's doing things that are not, they're not very common.
Yeah. And like I was mentioning, the only other person that I've kind of been hearing in that MVP talk is like Marcell Ozuna of the Atlanta Braves. And they're saying like, oh, well, if he gets the Triple Crown, because, he's a couple of home runs behind Shohei for home run in the home run chase, and I believe they might be tied. I know they were tied recently on RBI, and in him he was leading in average. But yeah, I mean, I think what Shohei has done this season is, I mean, especially like I said, if he gets to the 50-50 mark, I mean, unheard of, never happened. He's definitely, I think he's already a lock for the MVP. So it's just going to be fun to see. What does he get to, right? Does he reach that 50-50 mark, which would be incredible to see. Obviously, like we mentioned, never been done. So, we still got, 5-6 weeks left in the season, and he's at 41 home runs. And the thing also, too, with his stolen bases is, usually if he gets on and he steals that night, he usually ends up with, 2 stolen bases a night, because usually he'll steal, second, and sometimes he'll steal third. So, he starts getting those kind of in bunches a little bit. So, it's definitely possible to get that to that 50-50 plateau. So, we'll keep track of that for the next couple, coming weeks. But getting back into the Rays series, like you mentioned, Dodgers go ahead and take 2 out of 3 from the Rays. I don't know about you, but I mean, I kind of felt this Rays team, they're a 500 ball club, but they were pretty pesky. I mean, they were. It kind of seemed like any guys that kind of came up, like, they could kind of hurt you. They could either go deep, they could, it felt like every at bat was kind of not really that comfortable. Like, you didn't know, like, can this guy hurt you, or this guy, what's he going to do, right? And we kind of saw that. Johnny DeLuca, former Dodger, comes back this weekend. The guy's I think he was hitting like 180 when they came in, and this guy was just, he was a beast this weekend. I mean, he was. It seemed like he was out to prove, to show like, hey, why did you guys trade me away? I can do stuff, and he had a nice weekend against the Dodgers. So, you guys like him, coming back to try and kind of hurt their former club. But like I mentioned, the Rays last weekend they swept the D-backs. So they're like I said, they're a pesky club. What did you think of kind of just the Rays in general?
Yeah, I was at the Saturday game, and I definitely like watching batting practice. And these guys were launching the ball. I mean, they weren't just hitting it like just barely over the fence. I mean, Diaz and DeLuca. There was one other player I didn't know who that was, but they were launching the ball into the walkway in the left field pavilion. So they were launching the ball. Some of them even landed on the second part of the outfield, or the second part of the stands. So yeah, they look good. Like you mentioned, Johnny DeLuca looked like a superstar. I mean, he batted like he was 4 for 11, I believe, in the series, and he was just like every time he came up to bat, he was going to do damage. Like you said, he hit the ball, he squared up the ball really well. I mean, it was it was when you saw him play, you're like, wow, this is the guy we gave up. But then you look up at the scoreboard and you see his batting average, and I'm like, wow, how's this guy playing this way? But like I said, he's probably had something to prove, or wanted something to prove something to the Dodgers, and hopefully he plays like that all the time, because he's a solid player. He made some nice plays in the outfield as well. So yeah, it was overall really good series for the Dodgers. Miller pitched on Friday. He looked, I guess to me, it was his best outing. He had like 9 strikeouts. He did allow a lot of hits, gave up some home runs, but overall, I think they were both solo home runs, but he only allowed 3 runs. So he looked good. He looked good. The bullpen in the first game looked really good. They came in, I think it was Brazier, Phillips, and Kopech in that order, and they shut down. So they shut down the last 3 innings. So they won that game. Like I mentioned earlier, the Saturday game was definitely a winnable game for the Dodgers, but that the mixing of the bullpen guys, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why Kopech came in the 8th, but maybe Roberts, I guess, knows something that we don't know, and it didn't work though, and we gave up each of the last 3 relievers gave up 1, 1, and 2, so we ended up losing that game. And then yesterday, like I mentioned, Hernandez hitting a home run, solo shot, and then Betts hitting a 2-run home run that pretty much clinched the victory there. And overall, it was a good homestand. It was nice. And they're 5-1, and this is a good sign, getting ready for some good series that are coming up.
Yeah, and another young player that the Rays have is Junior Caminero. He had a nice series against the Dodgers as well. So, I mean, Rays are kind of known for that, right? They kind of just, I think they get a lot of develop a lot of young players as well, and until they can't afford them, and then that's kind of when they ship them away. But they do a nice job developing these young guys and getting them ready, and they become kind of impact players. But kind of getting back to the Rays series on Friday, so Bobby Miller, he makes that start. He gives up some early home runs. It kind of looks like, okay, this is kind of going to be another one of those bad starts for him. But it wasn't. He ends up going, 6 innings, gave up just those 3 runs, and it was actually a solid start for him. Kind of his best start that we've seen in a while, from him this season. So definitely encouraging, and it remains to be seen how he takes that start and takes it into his next start. But for me, I thought it was encouraging. What did you think of Bobby Miller's start on Friday?
No, it was good. I think it was good. I like the amount of strikeouts he had. 9 strikeouts. So it was a solid start. It was overall it was a good. I think we were talking. So he had a quality start. So he went 6, allowed no more than 3 runs. So yeah, he got a quality start. So overall, it was a good start, and hopefully that's like things to come. I think he'll pitch probably in the Diamondback series. I don't know if he'll pitch in the Orioles series. I think he pitches Diamondback. I'm not sure. Do you know?
I think it'll probably be the next series.
Yeah, so he'll pitch the Arizona series. So it was a good. It's like I said, it's a good sign. He looked really good. He looked like he commanded his curveball, his breaking pitch. So and that was a lot of swing and misses. So good overall, very good. And the next game, Kershaw allowed, that was rough. So yeah. I was at the game, and yeah, it was like the first inning. They were like almost like they knew that what was coming. They were screwing up the ball, hitting the ball hard. But he adjusted after the first. He allowed 4 in the first, but he adjusted and went 5 and allowed 1 more run. And like I said, that's the game that where we came back. It was, initially Dodgers didn't score anything, but they came back. They, like I said, they've been swinging the bat well overall, and they came back. They were out hit by the Rays by, I think, like 3-4 hits. But the Dodger hits were like, it was a home run, it was double. So overall, that game was good. Kershaw didn't look that bad. The first inning was bad, but the rest, he went 4 more innings, allowing 1 run. Yeah. And then
that's the thing too about Kershaw. Like we were mentioning last week, we were talking about the great start he had, and like I mentioned, like I don't expect Kershaw to go every outing out there and he's going to be lights out, right? I mean, and I don't expect every outing where he's going to pitch like this or he pitched in San Diego. I mean, I think it's going to kind of be kind of a mixture. Like he'll pitch good. He might have some innings where he gives up some runs like this. But the thing with Kershaw is he seems to be able to, just take whatever has happened and then kind of just put it behind him and then move on. Because that first inning, right, 4 runs, that game could have quickly unraveled and could have just completely went south, right? But kept him in the game. Dodgers come back. And they catch up into the Rays. So, not the best start for him, but like I said, it was still one that he was able to keep him in the game. And, unfortunately, they end up losing that game. But, Sunday, we saw Gavin Stone. I mean, Gavin Stone now, he's becoming one of their top pitchers, if not their top pitchers all season, right? He's, he started out strong. He had a couple of starts there kind of in the middle, 3-4 starts where he kind of struggled. But now he's back to kind of being, who we saw at the beginning of the season. And the thing that I'm loving too with Stone is he's giving him 7 innings. He's giving, I think he went back-to-back 7 inning starts now. So that's something definitely the Dodgers bullpen needs to get a guy that's going to go out there and give him 7. But, he doesn't really look like a rookie. He's going up there, he's mixing up his pitches and, he's poised out there. So I think he has a lot of confidence, going, to finish off this season. And, we're definitely going to see him in that postseason rotation. Where he's going to line up, obviously we don't know, but I'm liking from what I'm seeing from Gavin Stone. What about you?
Yeah, me too. I definitely have 100% confidence in him. Like you said, he pitched 7 innings, had 7 strikeouts, 3 hits, 1 run, earned run allowed. And the nice thing is that, so Trinan and Bandit came in after him. And so the bullpen, Kopech, Phillips, Hudson hasn't pitched in a couple of days, Kelly, Brazier. So they got a day off yesterday because they didn't need to pitch. And now they have the day off today, Monday. And so we're going in fresh, basically with a fresh bullpen for the series against the Orioles, which is, that's a crucial series. We got to show them, kind of show them who's boss, So we have a rested bullpen going into the series. So that's a nice thing. So it was really important that he had such a great outing. And 100% confident in him in the postseason. I think, hopefully whether if Yamamoto comes back or if Glasnow comes back, I still would like to see, if they both come back, that would push Stone to maybe force the 4th starter. I don't know. It's kind of, it's a good, hopefully they both come back. Because if that's the case, it's a good problem to have. You got 4 solid pitchers. And well, I'm not even talking about Kershaw. We're strictly talking about Flaherty, Glasnow, and Yamamoto. So, and then just kind of segue a little bit. Obviously, we heard that Roberts mentioned that Yamamoto's throwing a bullpen session today, and then he's scheduled to pitch on Wednesday, AAA. So that's a good sign. And they're saying that he will have 1 more start after that. If everything goes well, he'll be back in the rotation, and we'll see. Hopefully we can build him up. Get him build up to 6-7 innings before the end of season.
You're mentioning the bullpen. So the Friday, I liked how the bullpen was set up on Friday, where we saw Brazier, then Phillips, and then Kopech. And I tweeted out that was kind of something. It looks like, we're starting to see now. That's kind of a back end of a bullpen that you can look at, a consistent back end of a bullpen. Because Brazier's been solid since he's come back. Phillips, this month in August, he had been solid prior to that home run he gave up the other night. But then after that, he ends up striking up the side. And then Kopech, has been pretty solid as well, right? He just had that one bad inning the other night as well. But I think now is the time where, especially getting into the last bit of the season, it's been fine, going up to they've kind of experimented with guys, putting guys here, but I think now is the time that you got to lock in that bullpen, back into the bullpen, like how it's going to go. If we need a 6th inning guy, who that 6th inning guy is, who those 7th inning guys are, 8th inning, 9th inning, right? If Kopech's your closer, then he's got to close. No, like putting him in the 8th, kind of flipping him and Phillips. I think they gotta lock in those rotation spots, those bullpen spots. Like, okay, Kopech's our 9th inning guy. Now we got to work our way back. Like in the 8th, we can have Phillips, and we can have we've mentioned Daniel Hudson. We got to figure out what's going on with Daniel Hudson. We got to figure out what's going on with Joe Kelly, kind of to see if you can trust those arms, right? Where you're going to put them. Like we know, okay, and we know what Banda's doing. We know what Vesey is doing. So to kind of just lock those guys in. So, okay, here are 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, and close it out, right? I mean, kind of, you think they're kind of at that spot? You think they're kind of determining those roles for these players now, or you think they're kind of still going to kind of mix it up and mix and match?
I mean, I know we've had this discussion before. Yeah, we need to start to establish these bullpen guys' role. I heard a stat that Banda got the save yesterday. It was the 4th different save by a Dodger pitcher in the last 7 games or something like that. I forget what the actual numbers were, but I mean, it's cool that you can depend on different guys to close out the game because they're that good. But at some point in the postseason, it's not going to be that way. Unless you're going to keep the same format in the playoffs, then that's fine. If that's what you're going to do in the playoffs, Robert's going to keep moving pitchers around and different days, different guys close. Okay, fine. Be consistent. But if all of a sudden when it turns into the postseason and Kopech is the closer, then start it now. Let's just get the roles defined. Who's the closer? Who's a setup guy? Who's a long relief? Who's your I know we know who the lefty specialists are because we only have 2 lefties in the bullpen. But let's start establishing these players' roles so that we can get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, like I said, that's going to help. I think it's going to help with these guys knowing, okay, this is our closer. These are our setup guys, and kind of just define where they're gonna come in. So they're ready. They're ready for when they're called, and they're ready to go out there and do their thing. With the other night when they kind of flipped Phillips and Kopech, it was kind of like, I mean, we don't know what could have happened, right? If Kopech would have gone to the 9th, I mean, he had a bad outing that day. So would he have the bad outing in the 9th, right? We don't know that would Phillips have given up a homer in the 8th, right? Well, we'll never know. But I think defining those roles is going to help them, especially going now into the postseason. So switching gears, so the Orioles are coming to town, and the Orioles are they're battling for first place in the East. They're trailing the Yankees right now, but they're a young team, a hot team, a lot of players that are probably the future of baseball, right? That they've got a great system of young guys coming through there. Guys like Gunnar Henderson. So it's going to be a series. It's going to test the Dodgers. But I was looking at kind of how the Dodgers do against teams that are playing good baseball, over 500 baseball, and Dodgers are actually the second best team when it comes to playing teams that are over playing over 500. They're 48-34, just behind the Yankees are actually 50-34. So the Dodgers do step up when they're playing these these teams that are over 500. But kind of just kind of looking quickly at this series, how do you see this series playing out? With the Orioles coming to town.
Well, so first of all, they're 4-6 in the last 10 games. And if you look at their last, we can go back. So we're looking, they played 4 against the Astros. Astros ended up taking, they split the series 2-2. They played 3 against the Mets before that. And the Mets took 2 out of 3 on that series, and then the Boston Red Sox before that. So they're kind of been in a tough stretch with competitive teams playing for the playoffs. So the Dodgers, I mean, they got to come out. They got to come out strong. Not give this team, if they're not playing well, don't let this team get anything going. Like you mentioned, they do have young superstars. Obviously we all know about Holiday. What's his name? Holiday Jackson Holiday.
Jackson
Right?
Holiday.
Jackson Holiday. That's right. And so definitely, we know that he struggled initially when he first came to the majors. Sent down, came back, was on fire. He's struggling again. I think he had a double in one of these last couple of games where he.
Okay, I thought he'd be on because when he got called up, totally different player, right? He had struggled. Yeah. I think got one hit when his initial call up, but when he came back, he was just on fire.
Right. I think he had gone into a little slump again, and he had a double. I think it was a double with the bases loaded that fired him up or fired up the team. But overall, they're still a young team. They're still a young and good team. We're facing, I think, on the second game on Wednesday. We're facing Burns, who knows the Dodgers well for when the Dodgers played against the Brewers. So that's going to be a tough game. The other matchups, we should be able to handle the first pitcher. He's been struggling as of late. He's Irving. So overall, I want to say 2 out of 3. I think we can take 2 out of 3 this series. We should. Facing the Burns game is going to be the toughest game. It depends if we figure him out this time around or not. But yeah, I mean, 2 out of 3 would be my prediction for this series. And after this, we go on the road. And we go on the road for a big series, man. So we want to come out. We want to come out good. We want to come out good out of this series. And like we had mentioned earlier, the bullpen is rested too. So we have a full, everybody's ready to pitch. Hopefully the first game we can have maybe a good lead, so we don't use Kopech, give him another day off, and the Tuesday game, maybe that'll be a game he comes in. But yeah, we need to do well so that we can jump on that 4-game series that's coming up with the Diamondbacks, who are playing the best baseball. I think they're number 1 after the All-Star break. It's the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Dodgers, top 3 records after the All-Star break. So, it's going to be a tough week for the Dodgers, but it's good. It's good. It's good baseball. It's good competition. It's, it gives us a good marker of where we're at.
Yeah. So for the series, they got Cole Irvin going against the Jack Flaherty on Tuesday. And then, like I said, Corbin Burns on Wednesday against Buehler. So we'll see how Buehler comes out in that game. And then the last game, Cade Povich and TBD. So hopefully TBD has a good start for the Dodgers that day as well. But yeah, I mean, looking at it just on paper, yeah, you think, yeah, okay, probably the Burns game is the toughest matchup. So you're hoping, like you said, 2 out of 3. Take 2 out of 3 there. You're content. You're good. Before you head off, to a weekend series in Arizona. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, especially right now down the stretch, they're playing good teams, and I think that's going to keep them, especially too when you look up at that scoreboard and you see the Diamondbacks won again, the Padres won again. They know, hey, we got a lead, but we got to keep it there, and the only way we're going to do that is by winning, right? If they continue to win, doesn't matter what the other teams are doing. They got to focus on themselves and play their best baseball and continue to win. Because at the end of the day, if they continue to win, nothing's going to change in the standings, right? Those teams aren't going to be able to get to them. So we'll see how that series plays out. But I'm with you. I'm saying let's take 2 out of 3 there. Before we close, though, I did want to wrap up. There's been some updates on some players that are returning from injury. Going forward, I mean, the biggest one to me, and obviously, we've seen Shohei Ohtani playing, but a lot of people forget that he's actually rehabbing. He's actually a rehabbing player, and he's a pitcher as well, right? We're not going to see him pitch this season, but next year we should see him pitching again. And he took a pretty important step in his process on Saturday after he was out there. After his 40-40 game, he was just out there. He's been tossing for now a couple months. He goes out there and he'll play catch and he'll toss and he'll throw. But he actually went to the mound in the bullpen and he threw about 10 pitches. Carlos, you were there, right? And you actually saw him go into the bullpen and throw. How did he look to you?
Yeah, so I was there. He was doing long toss in the outfield. Yeah, he was doing long toss. I don't know how many throws he threw, but yeah, then they started walking towards the bullpen, and I'm like, okay, let me check this out. So I went down to by the bullpen, and sure enough, he started throwing pitches. The guy who was catching him wasn't squatted down in the catcher's position, but he was standing up, and it looked like he was throwing, I would say like 80%, and nice pop. You could hear the pop when he hit the glove. So yeah, he looked good. He looked, I mean, he looks like you said he's taking a big step forward in his recovery. He looks like he's on pace to get, obviously that big that Japanese series with the Cubs. So he looks like he's lining up for that series opener, which should be like, obviously in Japan, he's like, he's definitely their Babe Ruth for sure. So yeah, he looked good. And, a lot of fans were there. We have a video uploaded on Instagram. So yeah, check it out. And yeah, it looked good. I mean, and we have Yamamoto that we mentioned pitching on Wednesday, throwing today. Hopefully that everything goes well and he'll be back in the rotation. Glass now, I think, is the only one that's kind of not, I mean, I've heard kind of like both good and bad. So, Glass now, hopefully it's not serious. Hopefully it's just kind of extended rest for him and getting him ready for the playoffs. We also heard about Gosselin. Gosselin, there's a chance that he might come back by the end of the season. And I don't know at what kind of role he'll play. If he's just going to eat up some innings and give the other guys rest. But yeah, there's a lot going on with the injury updates. So I don't know. Do you know anything about Gratterall?
It seems like he's on track. He's moving around good. So we should see him. We should see him sometime in September. So, I mean, it's good news from that standpoint. I want to touch real quick on Shohei. I know a couple games that I've been there. He, he's doing his tossing, and then I've seen him once when he was about 60 feet. I believe the guy that was receiving was Crouch. So he was kind of like just emulating his motion and throwing. But at that time I saw him, I'd say he was throwing a good 80%. I mean, and it seemed like he was throwing pretty hard too. It was like at least maybe 80 in the 80-mile zone. So he's definitely building up. Obviously we won't, like I said, we won't see him this year, but it's definitely, I think the plan is they want to get him throwing and kind of just I think might even see like some live like BP by the end of the season, and then they're going to shut him down. And, until get him ready for the next season. I think that's kind of the plan they're going with him. But like you mentioned, Gonsolin also threw off the mound. He was on the Dodger Stadium mound, and he was just throwing as well. And afterwards, there's a video we have uploaded on YouTube as well where he discussed it. He's looking at possibly going at a rehab assignment. And Dave Roberts also mentioned, if he goes out, if he'd have any type of role, any type of open door this year, would be coming out of the bullpen. So I'm not expecting anything from Gonsolin. I mean, I don't expect to see him this year. I don't think there's no reason for him to even try and come back. I mean, I think the only reason is obviously just for the player themselves. Kind of they want to know, hey, I'm ready, and I was ready to go by the end of this year, and that way they kind of have like a normal off season, right? And their normal off season, they're not rehabbing no more during the off season, and they're ready for the next season. But yeah, he's coming along. Like we mentioned, Yamamoto will have a rehab on Wednesday with OKC in Texas, and then from there, we'll see. But yeah, I'm kind of a little concerned with Glass now. Kind of he didn't start his throwing program again, and he said it was kind of just building back up. But to me, it's like, I mean, you didn't pitch for like a week or two. It's like, do you really got to build back up, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how much buildup there is now to really, building back up to the point where he was. But, they're saying they expect him by the end of the season, but it didn't sound like, it's 100% that he'll be back by the end of the season. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on with him. And then, hopefully, like I said, Yamamoto gets a couple starts in September, and then he's ready for the playoffs. But other than that, I think, all those injuries are progressing well, and, we're in that stretch.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention MLB Network. MLB has the Dodgers ranked number 1. So according to MLB and their writers, we are the best team in baseball. So just want to put that out there. And, just also want to just mention some of the giveaways this last 3 games of the homestand. We have Salvadorian Heritage Jersey, which is on Tuesday. And on Thursday, we have the Filipino Heritage Jersey. And Wednesday is the big, Shohei Ohtani with decoy bobblehead, the second one. So, if you have tickets, get there early. It's going to be madness. I think, Roger, you were talking about the line for the Kobe jersey yesterday, Sunday. That was like wrapping around the block, right, to get in.
Well, I heard somebody was saying that I think people were lined up like at 4:30 in the morning for that, and it was an early game. I mean, so what time could you get in? Probably like maybe like 11.
I think they opened the gates early. Yeah, it's supposed to be 11:10, but I think the gates open early, and that when they do that, it always helps. Like, because when I got there to pick up some jerseys, it was easy. It was like in and out. So yeah, if they do that with Ohtani, it'll make it easier. But that also means it's going to run out quick. So I think last time it ran out around, I want to say 6:30. I think it was 6:30, 6:40 or something like that. So definitely before the game started, it was gone.
And we had mentioned too, also the Dodgers there's a Goldttani, right? A Goldttani.
Oh, that's right.
In going to be, they haven't said how many. I mean, a lot of people are kind of speculating maybe about the same 1,700 or so in there. I did hear something about, and I mentioned this to you. I saw some people that are season ticket holders were saying if they renewed by the end of the month, they were being offered a gold Ohtani. So I think it wasn't everybody. And I think you mentioned you didn't get that email to renew.
Yes, that wasn't a special one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was it's kind of limited. I did see people saying that, hey, if they renew they would get the gold Ohtani. So, remains to be seen how many will actually be given out on Wednesday night. But I mean, I was there for the last one, and I was driving in at about maybe a little bit before 2:30, and there was a line already, people waiting on the side. I was going in through the main entrance. There was a line of people already coming down and curving down. So I'm imagining Wednesday is going to be like, 10, 20 times worse. I say it's worse. And, props to there's a vendor that goes out there and he's selling hot dogs. So I expect to see him out there, props to him because, he knows where there's going to be business, and he was out there, selling his hot dogs. So hopefully we'll see him out there again on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, the Kobe jersey, I mean, lining up at 4:30, man, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing too for the Ohtani, they'll probably be there early, and kind of just wait till that front gate opens and then they're able to go in. But get there early if you're looking for that specific bobblehead, or else buy it on the secondary market. I mean, I don't know how much you think these Ohtani bobbleheads will go for.
About 180, 200. I think the gold one, if they do end up selling, probably be close to like $2,000. Yeah, I think initially it'll be that high. And it's like, if you get 2 and you're a lucky person, then you keep one and sell the other one and pay off, and make some extra cash there,
Now, would you buy a gold one if you didn't get it? Would you go ahead and buy one?
No, I wouldn't buy one. I didn't buy the gray one. It was like I think the gray one was like averaging about 1,300 when it first came out, about 1,300. But yeah, no, I wouldn't buy one. It's okay. I'm happy with my plain 40,000, numbered bobblehead. I'm okay with that.
Now, if you do buy one, beware, because just like the old one, I guess people will try and paint them and trick you. And I've seen already people saying, hey, just get a gold can of spray paint and paint it. So buyer beware. If you do, make sure that it's legit and you trust the person that you're getting from, and they're not just trying to
get one
over on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we look forward to that. Big Orioles series coming up, and then big weekend series coming up. And Dodgers are playing good baseball, so hopefully they continue down the end of this month and heading into September. And I think they're in a good spot. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this edition of the Rewind, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
This episode has been brought to you by BetOnline. The game starts here.